demands for housing needs in the Fargo-Moorhead area, developers and cities are taking a closer look at how density can solve problems such as sprawl and the expensive infrastructure. Amber Carlton and Karina Carlson, real estate agents with Berkshire, Hathaway, HomeServices, Premier Properties, are here to explain. And thank you so much for coming in, ladies. I told you right away, I'm like, ooh, I'm glad I got the experts here to explain this to me. And you guys love it. You got some good information for me. And so the first question is, what is density in relation to housing, and why is that an important topic?
So density is one of those things that's kind of relative. You know, it really varies by city. The definition does anyway. So for an example, the city of Fargo would define low density as 6 units per acre of land. And a unit can be, you know, a single family house, an apartment, a condo, a townhome, anything that you live in. And the city of Fargo would define high density living as 40 or more units per acre. So another thing we want to think about as we grow our city is urban sprawl. Some people call that leapfrog developing, and that's when a new neighborhood is built kind of far away from existing neighborhoods, you know, maybe a mile or two. And it's kind of a concern because you have to run infrastructure out there, and it's really expensive, and somebody has to pay for that.
That's interesting. You're right. We do see that. And Amber, so do we need to think about density then when we're starting to think about our local area?
Absolutely. As Karina just mentioned, the expense of infrastructure is real. So when we think infrastructure, we want to think roads, plumbing, lift stations for the plumbing, lights, electricity. All of those are expensive, right? So as we grow out, we have to add all of that in. If we start redeveloping established, we avoid some of that expense. We also only have so much of a city limit. We can't just keep growing. And we have to consider the farmland too. People still need to eat. We need to keep that farmland where it is. So we really need to start looking at density to counteract that.
Are you guys seeing signs of high density developments?
We are actually, maybe a little more so on the North Dakota side, Fargo and West Fargo. But we actually brought a picture to show you here of a project that's going up in downtown Fargo. And it's a new developer that Amber and I are working with actually. And what they're doing is building 6 townhomes on what used to be 2 lots where 2 homes were. So it really fits in with that higher density living, and you can see there's a garage on the main level and then 2 living spaces above it. And these properties have, you know, all the upgrades you want: granite, 9-foot ceilings, steel siding, and it really fits the bill to help with our housing needs. And one cool thing is that specials are super low because it's existing land.
Okay, I like that. Specials, that's like a bad word around here for sure. So what are some of the specifics that you would tell homeowners to really be thinking about and considering when they're looking at buying a home?
Well, you want to get with an expert who knows about these topics and who is going to focus and understand you and your needs. You might not even really know your needs yet. So when you're thinking about, is it more of a dense property setting good for me? Ask yourself about your lifestyle. Do you want to be gone every weekend? Do you want to be at the lakes every weekend and taking care of that property? If so, get a more dense, smaller property in town. You're not doubling up on all that yard maintenance.
A lot more to think about than it used to be. And I love the idea of you guys knowing the numbers. So we don't have to crunch the numbers when talking about specials and density and leapfrogging communities. I feel like I didn't even realize that was something that's happening, but it is. Once you said it, you see it all over. How do people get a hold of you?
You can contact me at 701-639-3509 or find me online at karinacarlson.com.
And I'm 701-640-8326 or amber.realtor.
You guys know your stuff. This is great. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Make it sound easy. Stay with us. Coming up next on North Dakota Today, we're sitting down with Dr. Sauer from Twin Oaks Health to talk about keeping yourself hydrated.